Everything seems fine, yet something inside you quietly screams, "This isn't it." That hollow ache, it's not anxiety. It's a cosmic signal you're not ready. Not yet. Let's stop pretending. Deep down, you've known it for a while. I'm not blaming you. I'm just putting into words what you've silently felt. That persistent discomfort, that inexplicable emptiness that refuses to go away even on your best days. It's not random. It's not meaningless. It's the universe whispering, "Hold on. I'm not handing you the sword until you're sharp enough to wield it." Have you noticed the strange chaos that always shows up before something big happens? Friendships suddenly end. Your health breaks down. Opportunities vanish. Motivation dries up. It feels like everything is crumbling, like you're regressing. But in truth, it's a sacred unraveling. The universe isn't punishing you. It's peeling away everything that doesn't belong to you. A purification disguised as pain. And here's the truth that most people never grasp. The universe doesn't reward those who merely wish or work hard. It grants breakthroughs to those who are inwardly transformed, those who've burned through their illusions and emerged as something new. Because desire alone isn't enough. You have to become the version of yourself who can hold the reality you're asking for. Carl Jung saw this with a brutal kind of clarity. He understood that when the unconscious is done waiting, it doesn't send you a memo. It drags you into chaos. Why? Because chaos is the soul's reset button. Those painful breakups, the unexpected betrayals, the jobs lost at the worst time. They weren't accidents. They were surgical strikes, necessary removals. But you called them unfair. Want to know the real block between you and your next level? It's not society. It's not other people. It's not even bad luck. It's you. The version of yourself still tethered to old fears, still clinging to outdated control, still begging for evolution while resisting death. And yes, I mean a kind of death. The death of your ego. That voice inside, the one that once protected you, has now become your prison guard. The ego doesn't want growth. It wants comfort. It wants improvement without pain, change without loss. And when true transformation comes knocking, the ego panics. It resists. And that's when the suffering begins. But here's the rawest truth. Suffering isn't your enemy. It's your initiation. It hurts because you're crossing the line between who you were and who you're meant to be. Every transformation demands a rupture. Did you really think you could cross into your new life without shedding the old skin? That silence you've felt lately, that aching emptiness. It's not abandonment. It's the stillness between demolition and rebirth. It's the ashes after the fire, fertile, waiting. But what grows there depends on what you plant. If you plant with clarity, awareness, and courage, something extraordinary will rise. This moment, this fragile space between your past and your potential is sacred. This is where everything changes. Will you repeat your history, or will you become something the world has never seen? Now take a look within. What cycles are you still trapped in? What fears still have a grip on you? What part of your life are you still clinging to, terrified to release? What illusion of control are you feeding, even as it slowly eats away at your peace? These are the questions the universe hurls at you when something extraordinary is being prepared behind the curtain. And if you don't answer them honestly, not with pretense but with raw truth, the breakthrough you crave won't arrive, not because you're unworthy, but because you wouldn't yet have the foundation to sustain it. Life doesn't reward requests. It responds to embodiment. To truly become what you seek, you must confront every part of you that's standing in the way. That's why life's tests aren't punishments. They're initiations. That betrayal, it was a chance to finally set your boundaries. That failure, an opportunity to choose again. This time not from desperation, but from wisdom. That painful loss, a divine reminder that nothing external is guaranteed, and that what truly matters is the resilience you forge inside. And while you believed the universe had forgotten you, it was watching intently, watching how you made your choices. Did you react from your wounds or from awareness? Did you move from fear or from truth, from anger or from peace? This, not your accomplishments, is the real test. Who are you when life doesn't go your way? What do you choose when you're backed into a corner because your essence, your true self, is revealed in the fire, not the comfort? And if that essence is aligned, if it's real, then it becomes a magnet, not for pity or praise, but for possibility. Because the universe doesn't reward the most talented, charming, or well-behaved. It rewards those who live in coherence, whose actions, words, and spirit match even when no one's watching. Especially when no one's watching. Here's why. True transformation doesn't scream for applause. It blooms in silence. It develops in the unseen hours through sacrifice, discipline, and surrender. It doesn't chase recognition. It simply becomes undeniable. So if you're standing in a moment where nothing makes sense, where progress has stalled, where the road feels blocked and hope is thin, pause. Don't flee. Don't misread the silence. You might be standing in the very heart of the shift you once begged for. And now the universe is watching to see. Are you ready to carry it? The true question is this. How do you act when the signs stop showing up? When the world goes quiet and no one is clapping? What do you choose when you must walk forward without proof? Many say they want to change their lives. Few are willing to change themselves. They long for a new chapter, but resist closing the old one. They dream of the extraordinary, but won't let go of what's familiar. But real change doesn't arrive on those terms. The sacred alchemy begins when you stop searching outside for what only your inner world can generate. When you declare that your peace, your clarity, your inner alignment, those are non-negotiable. When you realize that what's happening to you is not a personal curse, but a universal process. We all pass through this fire. Only some run before the flames have finished their work. So, the question is, will you stay long enough in the fire for your ego to burn away? So something raw, real, and deeply you can be born. If you do, the universe will notice. And then you won't need to hunt for change anymore. Change will find you, pulled in by the frequency of who you've become. And now we arrive at the ultimate paradox. When you no longer need change to come, that's exactly when it arrives. Because you've become someone who isn't attached to outcomes, but is in love with the process. And that is what the universe has been waiting for this whole time. So now you understand. This isn't punishment. It's preparation. Are you brave enough to take the test? Because what's coming next isn't just another challenge. It's a revelation, not just of what you'll become, but of what's already been buried inside you, waiting to rise. You weren't being destroyed. You were being exposed. Everything you thought you'd buried, it's now rising to the surface, demanding to be seen. This is where so many people lose their way. They mistake revelation for destruction. But what's coming up? The insecurity, the need for constant approval, the emotional dependence masked as loyalty, the arrogance disguised as confidence, the fear masquerading as caution. It was always inside you. The only difference now, pressure has stripped away the camouflage. Under the heat, you can't hide anymore. But don't blame the pressure. Pressure doesn't create your cracks. It simply reveals them. And once they're exposed, you can't unsee them. You either confront them with honesty or keep repeating, everything happens for a reason, like a spiritual bumper sticker, never fully grasping its weight. Here's the twist that changes everything. Life's tests aren't about proving your strength. They're about cleansing your vision. You don't need to be tougher. You need to see clearer. See the habits you follow without thought. See the childhood beliefs you still carry like truth. See the stories you whisper to yourself in the dark just to avoid admitting. You can't keep being who you were. This is where the shadow steps in. The part of you you've buried to be liked. The emotions you silenced to be accepted. The traits you denied so you could fit in. Carl Jung nailed it. No one becomes enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. That's what these trials are. Lanterns illuminating the places you've spent years avoiding. Why do most people refuse to change, even when life screams at them to do so? Because it's easier to stay broken in the familiar than be healed in the unknown. The ego clings to pain, not because it loves suffering, but because suffering is predictable. But transformation, true, bone-deep transformation, doesn't happen in the familiar. It begins with a leap. And to leap, you must let go. Letting go isn't weakness. It's trust. It's saying to life, I may not understand, but I trust that there's meaning here. That trust isn't wishful thinking. It's the quiet certainty you feel when you look back and realize every fall, every goodbye, every deafening silence was a divine appointment with parts of yourself you hadn't met yet. And awakening. It's not some glowing revelation with background music and halos. Sometimes it's just a random afternoon, sitting in traffic, tears streaming down your face, and realizing you can't pretend anymore. You can't keep living like nothing's breaking inside. That moment, it's not beautiful. It's not glamorous, but it's real. And real is the only thing that transforms you. The rest, it's just spiritual entertainment. And the universe didn't come here to amuse you. It came to awaken you. To show you again and again that what you're seeking out there has been buried in here all along, buried under fear, under pride, under the need to control, under layers of self-deception. So you want to create a new reality? That's beautiful. But understand, the price of that future is your current self. You can't drag the old version of you into your next chapter. Not because you're bad, but because that version was born from survival, not from truth. And that's the turning point. Survival isn't the same as living. The ego survives. The soul lives. And as long as your decisions are fueled by fear of pain, by pleasing others, by clinging to control, you'll keep surviving. But the moment you choose to act from your deepest truth, without guarantees, without applause, simply for the sake of alignment, that's when real life begins. So what's the most powerful thing you can do when life tests you? Don't resist. Don't force your way through. Just listen. Every test contains a hidden message, not one written in words, but coded into the pain itself. What irritates you the most? That's where you need to look. What scares you the most? That's what you're meant to face. Pain isn't the enemy. The real problem is this: we've forgotten how to listen to it. As long as you keep seeing every hardship as unfair, as long as you frame your struggles as punishment, you'll keep missing the truth wrapped inside them. You're not being punished. You're being called to remember who you truly are beneath the layers, beneath the masks, beneath the performance you've worn for so long. The universe doesn't want you invincible. It wants you honest, because from honesty comes a different kind of strength. One that doesn't shout, doesn't force, doesn't seek validation. It simply radiates. And that's the real heart of transformation. Not forcing a new version of yourself into existence, but releasing the one that's always been waiting quietly underneath everything you were conditioned to become. The question is, are you willing to allow that version to emerge? Because nothing, absolutely nothing, will shift in your reality until you say yes to that. That moment of surrender determines whether you're ready to hold what you asked for. And remember this: you are not defined by what you go through, you are defined by how you respond. And when that response rises from your truth, not from fear, not from ego, the universe responds in kind. It always has. It's a mirror. And now, finally, you're ready to look without distortion. So, do you want to keep going? Because we're just beginning. Let's touch on something most people avoid: an uncomfortable truth. What if it's not the universe that's holding you back, but you? Not because you're scared to fall, but because you're scared to shine. Because stepping into your light means responsibility. It means no more hiding behind "I'm not ready." It means giving up your favorite excuses. When your manifestation arrives, when your dream begins knocking, you'll no longer have the option to stay small. You'll have to rise. And that's where resistance kicks in, not from your soul, but from your mind. That mind, it's a master storyteller, a machine of justifications. It crafts elegant, believable narratives that make you feel like you're progressing, even when you're spinning in place. You've probably felt it: busy, always learning, always planning, but never quite moving toward what really matters. That's the trap of endless preparation, the safety net of "I'm not ready yet." But here's the secret: you will never feel fully ready for the unknown. True readiness doesn't arrive before the leap. It awakens during the fall. Yes, your mind wants to protect you, but it also wants control. And in doing so, it cages you in the illusion of stability. So you keep saying, "Better the devil I know." Better to wait just a bit longer. Better not to risk it yet. And the universe, ever patient, watches in silence, waiting for you to loosen your grip. Because until you let go, until you choose uncertainty, the miracle can't reach you. Here's the brutal beauty of the journey: inner transformation isn't marked by what you intend, but by what you do. It's not defined by what you want, but by what you're willing to release. Now we reach a truth that's hard for most to accept. You cannot cling to your old identity and still step into a new life. You can't demand a transformed reality while stubbornly playing the same role inside it. Many people want life to change, but resist changing themselves. That's the most elegant form of self-sabotage. You think you're walking into your destiny, but you're dragging a suitcase packed with the past. Old beliefs, outdated habits, reflexive reactions, the need to always be right. the addiction to chaos, the obsession with knowing everything before trusting anything. And what happens when you carry that into the future? You repeat the past over and over. New names, new places, same old patterns. Let's talk about cycles, not seasons or calendar months, but those deeply personal loops that haunt your life with unsettling precision. Do you notice how you always end up in the same kind of relationship, face the same emotional cliff, repeat the same breakdown in a new disguise? Why does it keep happening? Because you haven't learned what it came to teach. Because instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" the real question is, "Why is this happening again?" Until you change your answer, your response, the universe will keep repeating the question. Because life doesn't operate on time, it operates on awareness. And where there's no awareness, there's repetition. But the moment you wake up, even slightly, something irreversible begins. You can no longer pretend. You can't unknow what you now see. And even when you try to slip back into your old habits, they no longer fit. They itch. They feel foreign because you've outgrown them. And that's beautiful. But it is also hard because no one warns you about the price of awakening, the discomfort, the restlessness, the hunger for what's true, the refusal to tolerate anything fake, especially when the lie comes from within yourself. Now we arrive at something even deeper, the grief of identity. Because to become who you're meant to be, you first have to grieve who you thought you were. Not just your habits, but the image you built to survive, the version of you that was sculpted to fit in, to be loved, to be enough. And to move forward, you have to let that version die. You'll have to accept that many things you fiercely defended with pride and conviction were just shields to avoid feeling exposed. You'll have to face the truth that your strength, at times, was just a mask layered over fear. Yes, that realization cuts deep. It hurts to look back and see how long you've been imprisoned by an illusion of yourself. But that pain, that's medicine, because the more courageously you confront those illusions, the more room you create for your real self. And it's in that stripped down, raw, unfiltered space, the place without masks or performances, that the universe begins to truly respond. Not because you've become flawless, but because you've finally become authentic, and something miraculous begins to happen. You stop looking outside for signs. You stop needing proof that everything will be okay. Because you know. Because you feel. Because you've become the kind of person who doesn't need a guarantee to take the next step. You stop negotiating with your intuition. You stop postponing your truth. You trust the next step, even if you can't see the whole path. And that might just be the most powerful shift of all. You stop searching for certainty, and you start living in presence. You surrender, not in defeat, but in wisdom, because true surrender isn't giving up. It's aligning, it's adapting, it's transforming. And then, only then, the universe responds with clarity. Why? Because life doesn't respond to your wish list. It responds to your frequency. When your energy is coherent, when your desire is no longer at war with your fear, when your words and actions are in harmony, everything shifts. Because the universe is a mirror, and it reflects who you are, not who you pretend to be. So now, here you are, standing at the edge, facing the most honest version of yourself. The question isn't, will I make it? The real question is, will you dare to stop being who you were in order to become who you are destined to be? Because now that you're standing here, staring into the inner unknown, there's only one decision left. Will you jump? Or will you keep collecting clever excuses dressed as logic? Because yes, the hardest part isn't over yet. The hardest part of change, it's not the leap. It's stopping the story you keep telling yourself about why you haven't leapt yet. The mind spins 1,000 justifications. I'm not ready. I need more healing. I'll decide tomorrow. But life doesn't shift through intentions. It transforms through decisions. And the moment to decide, it isn't sometime later, not when you're stronger, not when you're more together, not when you're less afraid or less broken. The only real moment you'll ever own is now.